Steve Van Samson,
Curtis M. Lawson,
Paul Christian Glenn, Joshua Rex, Raz, Rob Smale. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Clutch of Personalities. Tonight on our show, we have filmmaker Paul Christian Glenn from Compendia Pictures, and helping me as a co-host, I always do that backwards, James Case, aka Uncle Necro, who runs his own show, Movies and Beer, that we were just discussing how I was supposed to have been on there. And Paul was too at one point, and it's been a year. So I feel like a total dirtbag right now. But
you've been busy.
But yeah, so the fun thing about this show is we all went to school together. So you're going to see us maybe going off into the past on a couple of things. But yeah, I think we're going to have some fun times here because I've been bringing you storytellers. The Owl Light is all about just bringing stories to life and bringing storytellers to you. And we've been learning about, we've been talking to authors who also work at publishing companies for the first two episodes. And now I want to come from the other end. Paul, you take stories and you bring them to us in a completely different format. So you were always artistic in high school, and I want to know how you got started in filmmaking.
Well, number one, thanks for having me on. Number two, it's good to see both of you again. I don't remember the last time we actually ever spoke all together in person. Have we ever done this?
Not since high school.
Not since the bus ride.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's doing really well, by the way, guys. We've got, we'll show you some more of some of the film stuff later. But
oh yeah,
we're like, we got a famous guy.
Famous,
really cool.
Famous among my personal property, I guess. About the filmmaking thing that really happened in two phases. I shot my first feature a long time ago, 20 years ago, and it was a full-length feature called Jacqueline Rose, and we shot it in Fremont, Nebraska. That film, which I'm really proud of today, I was not very proud of when we finished it. All I could see were the flaws. I had never made a film before, and all I knew was that it didn't look like Steven Spielberg, so obviously it was a failure. And it just kind of tucked away for 20 years on one of my hard drives. I never finished editing it. I didn't finish color correcting it, nothing. And my current partner, wife, producer, Patience, just wouldn't let it die. She just kept asking me about it. What's going on with this movie? You never finished it. What, you spent all this time, all this money, you never finished it. You have to finish it. And I made a bunch of excuses. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have all this, whatever. So she just went and bought it all.
Mike.
And I finished it. And it felt so good, but then I didn't really know what else to do. And so I didn't do anything for a few years. And then again, my wife, partner, producer, just said, hey, you've got all this filmmaking gear sitting around everywhere, and if you aren't going to use it, then you need to get rid of it. So she really encouraged me to start writing again and to start shooting again. And as just kind of a proof of concept to see if we could do it, we shot Ens Rationis, which was never really intended to be anything more than just an exercise, really, to get to know all of our gear. But,
really?
Yes, but I am not good at that kind of thing. Everything spirals out of control and blows up into something bigger than it should be. And that ended up doing really well for us. And so we were kind of off to the races at that point.
I'm glad that you moved that past proof of concept, because I loved it. It really, to me, was, it reminded me a little bit of, I think it was a Truman Capote story about a guy who buys dreams. It's like,
oh, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I was looking up the other night and I forgot the name of what it was, but it's not the same thing,
Yeah.
but it was along a similar idea, I think, for what the main characters see as far as what they're going through. And you guys, this is on Prime Video, and it's actually comment because I'm going to be buying all the people who win their own copy of it on Prime Video, so you can own the
Yay.
first short, yay, which is super awesome, and just a really well done film. The special effects on that one, I loved how it was very minimal, very minimal,
Yeah,
and
that's not a coincidence. It's because I am not a special effects guy. But I was kind of a one-man band on that project. I shot it, wrote it, edited, special effect, color graded, music, did all of it. Not all of it. I couldn't have done it without everybody else, but you know what I mean. So yeah, the special effects were minimal on that because, well, number one, it just didn't call for a lot of them, but also number two, I was like, okay, what can I actually pull off and not have it look terrible?
Yeah, you did really. That's all it needed. You know, it was the whole movie was, and the makeup on the gal at the hotel just that was enough.
I demand a movie about her.
Yeah, everybody remembers her. They all want to know what her story is.
Oh yes, you did good, kid. I mean, I remember watching it, and I've shown it to several other friends of mine who happen to have the Amazon Prime as well. And each and every time, I'm like pointing at Chuck, going, "I know him."
Actually, is it okay? We got a couple people watching right now. If I go ahead and just show the trailer for that,
yeah, sure.
Okay, so everybody, this is the trailer for what you might be getting your hands on tonight.
Hey, it's me. I wish I knew how to tell you this. I know it sounds crazy. I met someone. It seemed like chance, but somehow he knew everything.
You never know when someone might inquire.
Who would inquire?
Anyone might inquire.
I just don't know what happens next.
Every moment is a choice.
Yay.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
I loved it, and I love even the way you set up the trailer with her at the end, and then boom.
Yeah, she was someone we were not familiar with. We found her. Her name was Lori Foreman, that actress. We found her through auditions, and she was something else. She also starred in The Walls Like in Madding, which was a follow-up, and she plays a completely different type of character. And I almost felt like I had to do that because she was so, I'm not using this word in its appropriate tense, but among people who have seen the film within that tiny niche of the world, she's a very iconic character. People always remember her within that story. They're always like, well, what was the deal with the lady at the thing? And she was getting recognized when we would go to the festivals and stuff. People were pointing her out. Also, Chuck too. He would also get pointed out. And actually, that just happened again at Omaha Film Festival a couple of weeks ago. Somebody was like, "Hey, were you in that movie a few years ago about the guy with the crazy eyes and all that stuff?" But anyway, so I wanted to write her a different kind of part so that people could see that that's not how she is, and she knocked it out of the park both times.
Oh, she did. I didn't realize it was the same person.
Mm-hmm.
The makeup was very iconic in that as well. The way, she had that was a very distinct look at one point in time that many people wore. So
yeah, she was a trooper too. That shooting location was nuts. We've got a few stories from over the years of shooting locations that were wild, and that was definitely one of them. We were shooting in this little tiny sort of no-tell motel off the side of a highway, and we had made an arrangement with the people who owned it. It was like a family who owned this hotel, and we had asked if we could shoot in their little receiving area, foyer or whatever it is, and it was perfect for the look that I wanted. This kind of small, sort of vaguely unsettling place, bright colors, but it was really tiny. And so they had arranged to let us shoot there. We got there, and they wanted not only more money than we had agreed on, but also they wanted like the whole cast and crew to rent hotel rooms for the night. And there were I'm pretty sure we didn't credit the hotel in the credits, so I don't mind saying there were like cockroaches and all kinds of wildlife. As we were like on the floor setting up lights and stuff, there would just be bugs crawling over your hands and whatever. And she was trapped behind that little counter for, I don't know, conservatively 4 hours, with the family members behind a curtain on the other side of the room, just like peeking out, like peering out as she was trying to perform. It was something else.
Come here, son. We've been watching some filmmaking.
Yeah, so she was a real trooper.
Y'all doing a porno here?
That's why you're in out there.
We had the police called on us. Actually, that same film, we were at a different hotel, one that at least in Omaha is sort of famous for shady dealings, but we were able to get the room for not very much money. And there were people, there was all kinds of business going on in the rooms around us that we could hear. There were drug deals going on. The police came by to find out what we were shooting outside, and it was intense. Every time we make a movie, I always say the next one that we make is going to be like somewhere well lit and spacious and clean, like a giant hotel somewhere. I don't know.
You just put it in the dome at Logan View. It's huge.
Yeah.
Echoey.
You guys want to hear something funny that only you would appreciate? But I actually named the town in my latest horror screenplay is called Logan View. And I cherry picked quite a few locations from down around that area for shooting. I don't know that we'll actually end up getting to shoot there, but at least in terms of what I'm envisioning, it should be fun.
I like doing little things like that, little throwbacks. Actually, and we won't say who it actually was, but one of my characters in a story that I wrote was a high school guidance counselor named Mr. Donahue, and he wore a lot of orange and brown and yellow. So,
did he make with the really bad jokes too?
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
No, you see, I have one of my stories that I've written was actually based on my experiences with the science fairs there. So, yeah, you write what you know.
Yeah.
We all have some throwback to LV going on now. I can post it under our names. I've been having fun, like Possessed by a Crow. You guys all have your stuff, but
Mhm.
when I do certain shows, I start just sneaking in if there's somebody else who's co-hosting with me, and I'll just start randomly changing people's names and see how long it takes for them to realize what I've done to them.
Nice.
Oh, we have some fun with it on the more R-rated shows, which I should probably, just in case, because we do swear here sometimes. So there you go. Now we can swear all we want. Damn it.
Great.
Golly
Yay.
gosh darn
I've
it.
been saving up, so let me get my list.
You get
So
exactly 10 F-bombs.
I do have a confession to make. I've only seen Ends Rationis as far as the trilogy that you have done so far. I was supposed to see the second one with Carrie, but life happened and I wasn't able to watch it with her at the time.
Hmm.
Is there a chance those two are going to show up on Amazon too? Or
Well, James, I'm glad you asked. The Walls of Like and Manning is actually going to go up this week.
okay.
We were held back. When you're on the festival circuit, you can't release your film because a lot of these festivals won't accept your film, or that it'll be disqualified if it's available to watch somewhere else.
Okay.
So you have to hold it. But that one, we
Yeah.
finished the cycle a few months back, and I've just been lazy about getting it up and online because we've been so busy with the third film. But yes, I am. It's already uploaded. All I need to do is literally just switch the link on and push it out there. So yes, I can.
Awesome.
I can definitely get that to you.
Awesome. And
So yeah,
that was totally unscripted, by the way. So we just how do we enter this?
I was going to bring it up because I talked to him about it, but you just got it. Sorry, having a little bit of cutout. If internet goes wonky, just stay on. I have it fixed. I had last time I was filming, my internet actually just dropped, so I'm like, and I got on my hotspot real quick, and it fixed. It didn't drop the show at all, so that made me happy.
Nice.
So do you want to? This one had the Walls of Like and Matting. Actually, can I go ahead and show the clip for that, and then have you talk about where you got the idea and stuff for it? I got all these movie clips. I don't get to do this normally, so I'm excited. It's usually like, and here's a picture. Okay.
I feel like I'm on the Conan O'Brien show. Like I'd be looking at an off-camera monitor now. Like, I'm not sure which clip this is.
and okay, you got this is the perfect time to do the Paul Rudd thing and just clip from Mac and Me.
Right. Yeah.
I'll have to remember to load that some point in time. Okay.
Right.
Yesterday, I heard your voice. Or I thought I did. It's been 2 years since you vanished. It's hard to stay focused. Those gales come down from the hills, and the windows rattle, like they're just dying to let the night come in. Now I am alone.
Okay, so that will be available on Amazon Prime Video next week.
Yes. Probably not on Prime. I'll probably put it up on Vimeo.
Okay.
most likely.
Okay.
But either way, yeah, we'll get a link out there. Chilling stuff, let me tell you.
It
Where
is
did you find
really,
your
really
copy
good.
of the Necronomicon there?
That was handmade. We have a
Okay.
fabricator who works with us, also known as my stepdaughter, Brooklyn, who is very crafty, and she's very good at creating things and building things. She created the stones in Enzrationis, the little rune stones that he's
Okay.
got. She did all the carvings on those and painted them and did all that stuff. So she helps us out a lot when it comes to that stuff. And yeah, she hand wrote out all of that stuff.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Did you worry about her at all? Getting deeper. Honey?
No,
Who are
she's
you talking to?
not quite that dark. So the idea for that one, that actually we were approached. We had done Enzrationis. We took it to the HP Lovecraft Festival in Portland and had a great reception there. And the directors up there were fabulous, and the people that we talked to were great, and everybody seemed to really love the movie, and it was a good experience. Well, the following year, maybe 2 years later, I don't remember now, but was the COVID year. And so all of the festivals went online, which was just a huge drag. And I don't blame them for, obviously they're just doing what they needed to do, in order to get through the plague. But it kind of took the wind out of the sails for a lot of festivals, because as cool as it is to say, like, hey, we got into this festival, when it's not showing or screening somewhere, it just feels a little less real. I can put my own videos up on the internet and tell people to watch them. It's that community thing that's really fun. But all of that being said, because that community was so receptive and so enthusiastic up there, we were eager to do something else for them. And they reached out and asked if we would be willing to participate in their 72-hour film challenge, right? So the idea is they give you a prop and a line of dialogue, but you don't know what it is until the starting bell. And then you have 72 hours to write a story, shoot it, edit, do the whole thing, get it all finished and put together. But because this is the HP Lovecraft Festival, it has to fit into the cosmic horror niche. So we got our prop and our line of dialogue, and that shoot was pretty wild, in as much as we got down to the final day of shooting. And I don't know if you guys have ever been involved in anything like that, but 72 hours is an absurd amount of time to mount a film. But we got right down to the wire and shot the climax. And I ran home to start editing, because you have to have it in by midnight. And the entire climax of the film I had shot with the little red viewfinder square was turned on so that it was like burned into the footage. Now, why anyone would ever design a camera capable of doing something like that, I can't tell you. And how do you turn it on? I also can't tell you that. But somehow I managed to turn it on, and we had no end, no climax for the movie. So I gave it an artistic ending where I just sort of cut it off at one point and then created a digital shadow of like a monster sort of coming along the wall, and then it ends. Not at all how it was supposed to finish, but we got it in under the wire, and it was fine, and everybody liked it, but we couldn't let it lie. So then we went back 2 weeks later and properly reshot the ending. So we didn't technically make that movie within 72 hours, but close enough, and I like to tell the story. So we ended up getting our ending that we wanted on there. And then that one also did really well for us on the festival circuit. So that was surprising and fun.
That's amazing that you did all of that in 72 hours, because like James was saying, I did watch it and I was really impressed. I don't know if I've seen the actual ending though, because when I watched it, it was while you were doing festivals, and they were selling the digital.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think I've watched it since then, but I know I got a digital ticket for one of the festivals. Is the first time I watched it.
If you saw it with the at one of the festivals, you probably didn't see the actual ending. Now you may have watched it since then, but
I've watched it at least once since then, but I'm not sure which. I might have just been watching the same one that I paid for. If there was still if the link to that one was still open.
All you need to do is slap the words "director's cut" on there and charge more money.
Unrated, 90 more seconds of footage. Yeah, never before seen.
Hey man, it works.
Yeah.
Have you seen my my favorite movie, The Exorcist 3? God damn it, everything that movie has gone through. William Peter Blatty, the poor man. Oh my God. I don't know if you know the story behind that, but it was just terrible what they did to him.
Was that the one that they completely reshot, or was that another one? One of the Exorcist movies was completely trashed and like reshot by another director.
I think that was the prequel one.
Well, we don't talk about two. Two doesn't
exist.
Two is awful. It was, oh God, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name because I hate him so much. Jason
Blumhouse?
No.
Oh. Because Blumhouse is doing their own version.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Jason Miller. No. No. Jason Miller played Father Damien Karras. And and so the whole thing with Exorcist 3, I'm totally going off your movies now. I'm sorry. But they shot it with Brad Dourif as the Gemini killer, who's this mental patient in the hospital. It's based off of Legion, right here on my bookcase. Well, my book's stacked. My bookcase is over there. And when they got done filming it, they were like, well, we're trying to make a franchise here, so let's throw in an exorcism. And then let's bring in Jason Miller, who is drunk through the entire shoot.
That does explain a lot.
And take away like half of Brad's stuff. We'll just refilm all. Yeah, it was just a dumpster fire. And it still turned out to be like, it is one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie ever, even though they did all that. But I cannot stand, I'm always like, boo, Jason Miller, boo. And I mean, I guess it's not really his fault, that they made him do it. But yeah, that's when it has like pre-duck in the face. What the sexy book cover guy was in it.
What?
Come on. James, you know who I'm talking about. The guy who Fabio. Yeah, Fabio. That's Fabio. Yes. It has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and they actually had somebody voice over his only line in the film. Couple of things. But
did it have the word motherfucker in there?
No, it did not. Ellen, what do y'all think of the new movie coming out called Renfield?
That is a Nicolas Cage movie, Carrie. I'm sorry, but that's going to be like, I'm going to be there opening night. But on the Movies and Beer Pub, we do a thing called Uncaged, which we're going through all of Nicolas Cage's movies, and
I'm so sorry.
This is going to watch any of them.
He has kind of an unlimited. Please come on, more for me, I guess. But this looks freaking awesome because he's just going to Cage, like full on Cage, as Dracula. So sorry, that was a bunny trail. Yes,
it's okay. You're with the Psycho Bunnies. I have to know how much screen time Cage actually has, because I do like Nicholas Hoult and I like what I've seen from him. But I mean, like, I didn't watch Ghost Rider because of Nicolas Cage. My favorite things from childhood sometimes I have not watched because Nicolas Cage. And
I had a moratorium on Nicolas Cage movies for the better part of 2 decades. But he has made a couple of movies that are just sort of undeniable. By and large, I don't like him. I don't think he's a good actor, but he's really good at being Nicolas Cage. So
I never said he was a good actor. I'm just saying.
When that works, it seems to work. I'll tell you this, that I did see a trailer for Renfield, and I thought, okay, that looks like something I might watch on a Saturday afternoon, on Netflix or whatever. But then I saw the Red Band trailer, and they are obviously going for like Evil Dead levels of splatter fun. And I was not expecting it in a big studio movie like that, but the R-rated trailer was bananas, and so now I'm kind of really looking forward to it.
Hey guys.
So since you brought it up, what are your thoughts on the upcoming new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Rise?
Let's go with Alan here real quick first.
Sorry.
Nicolas Cage, Aerosol with Holly Hunter Racing Arizona.
Great movie.
That is a good movie.
I don't know what Aerosol. I'm going to say that you saw. Maybe. My mother knows how much I hate Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, and so she, of course, always wants me to watch Face Off.
Face Off, okay.
Are you me? I don't. The Nicolas Cage and John Travolta are the two actors for like literally 2 decades. I was like, I don't care what they're in, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, and
Are you
then
kidding
what's
me?
his name? Who paused the beach Baywatch guy who like
The Hasselhoff?
Oh,
Yeah.
Hasselhoff?
Yeah, and he like posed naked with some puppies, and I feel like they all had to be
Wait,
in
what?
therapy for the rest of their lives. There
am
was a
Googling
thing,
that right now.
This hairy naked Hasselhoff with a bunch of wrinkle puppies. What were those?
Naked Hasselhoff pictures.
No, you don't. Like the dogs had to be with puppies. John Travolta
there's
was
the
really
puppy.
good in Grease and Saturday Night Fever. Alan, I'll let you have it. I'm not gonna wait. He was good in like
That poor puppy.
I just have to point out it's cracking me up that he was in Greece instead of Greece. The country. Yay, he can be in Greece. If he's in Greece and I'm in America, I'm good with that.
I love me greased up Travolta.
The one concession I have to make for Travolta is Pulp Fiction, and he's not a huge part of that movie, but he is good in that movie, so I got to give that to him.
Okay.
But other than that, I
Watched it once.
Pulp
Look Who's
Fiction?
Talking is a masterpiece.
Stop it. Quit. Wow, I've seen Pulp Fiction many times. That's just one of those. It's one of those for me that a handful of films that I got stuck on, where I did this with Shaun of the Dead as well. I did it recently with Banshees of Inisherin, where I just watched it
saw that
100 times within a few weeks. I just keep playing it over and over because it's so good. And I did that with Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
quite a while.
So I just recently did. I still need to upload it because, as you said, I'm kind of lazy and forget about it. But I did a podcast with my friend Brian on the Banshees of Inisherin, and I still don't get it. He explained the whole allegory thing to me, and I'm still okay. So this could have been made into a play easily.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
With how much dialogue and everything was going on. But I got to say, I have a newfound respect for and of course my brain would quit on me here.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Yeah.
Yeah. He's really good in that movie. Really good.
See what Brian did when I had my stint in the Bonata rehab center after my operation, he gave me a memory stick full of movies to stick on the television in there and just watch. One of them was the Banshees of Inisherin and In Bruges.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to see them back to back. Another really good movie, I thought. But have you seen All's Quiet on the Western Front?
Yeah.
Okay. Brian has not. I keep explaining to him there's a lot of walking in that movie. and a lot of more dialogue, but holy crap, when it gets bloody, it gets fucking bloody.
Yeah. That was a movie. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was obviously it's well made. And yeah, I can't really say anything bad about it. I just didn't when I finished watching it, I just kept thinking, why was this movie made? I mean, we already have this movie, and it's not really giving us a different take on it or whatever. It's just kind of like, hey, look, here's this movie again. So I don't understand necessarily why they made it, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's a nice looking movie. I'm glad it didn't win Best Picture, because there was a minute there where it looked like it might, and I was just like, ugh, you couldn't gripe because there's nothing wrong with it, but come on, you can do better.
There was a discussion on another podcast that I watch, and it was about, well, I won't get into, but one of the Disney movies that came out, and they were like, "Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad." And so it's like there is a huge difference between it wasn't that bad and it should have been made. And
Was it Pixar?
no,
Because they're really reaching for story ideas with that.
no, this is we're turning one of our cartoons that we bastardized into a live motion.
Oh,
type of
okay.
thing. One of those. So, and I'm with you, by the way, on Shaun of the Dead. When I had
Great movie.
cable still, I pay-per-viewed it like so many times that my SO at the time finally just went out and bought it for me. He was like, "Stop spending our money. Just watch it. Just watch it."
That really is a fantastic movie.
Cool,
sir.
Also,
Okay,
Punisher.
go ahead. The one with John Travolta. It's my favorite one of the Punisher movies.
Is it the one where he lives? The only one I've seen is
Thomas
the one where he
Jane
lives in the building
yeah.
with all the rejects and sits and chugs his wild turkey. Like,
yeah, that's the
Punisher do.
Thomas Jane one. It's based off of the Welcome Back, Frank comics comic storyline written by Garth Ennis. But that's actually my favorite one, simply because he seems a bit more organic, I guess. That would be a word to use. I don't know.
He seems real.
Right.
Not just, okay.
Well, everybody was complaining because he didn't just shoot guns the entire time. And I'm thinking, okay, with his training, he's going to know all sort of tactile weaponry, not just guns and things go boom. Like, when he was firing at the bow and arrows, that would make sense. He doesn't want to make noise. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. And I'm sorry, you got me on a tangent.
No, that's okay. But as long as Paul has time, I mean, you good for chatting, hanging out?
Because I was going to ask about what you thought about the rest of the Cornello trilogy.
Well, okay, so I like all of them. Shaun of the Dead was, and probably still is, hands down my favorite. That was an early DVD for me, and I watched it on a loop for 6 months. So that movie is ingrained into me. But I will tell you this: the third movie, the world, what's it called? At World's End, The World's End.
The World's End, yeah.
World's End. I get it confused with This Is the End, which was the other movie that came out that year. But
yeah.
I liked that one the least when I first watched it, and I still think that it suffers from the first act is too long. I think it takes too long to sort of get to where they're going. But I did go through a period where that movie opened up for me, and something clicked, and I ended up watching it over and over and over again. And it's probably now my second favorite. And I hate to put Hot Fuzz number 3 because Hot Fuzz is great, but World's End really came alive for me after having watched it a couple of times. The first time I watched it, I was like, all right, that was good, but it's no Shaun of the Dead. It's no Hot Fuzz. But yeah, I really like that movie. And is it Alan Craven?
Yeah.
Just so that I'm not ignoring that question, I haven't seen that Punisher movie since it came out in theaters. and I remember thinking it was fine, but it had John Travolta in it.
My big thought was, as a former bartender and bartender at the time, oh, a man with a bottle of wild turkey. You avoid that guy. You
So
just don't want to know what's going on in his
we're
life.
just going to ignore the Dolph Lundgren 1989 Punisher.
We may as well. Everyone else did.
Because I remember showing up. Because I remember Paul. You remember Scott?
Ostfeld?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember showing up at his house, and he had that movie playing on there.
Oh,
And
really?
I had no idea what it was, because it didn't have the skull on there. You know, it was
Right.
one of those movies that clearly was a Marvel movie made before Marvel brought back their own licenses. But
It
I'm
goes
like
in
thinking,
there with that old Captain America movie. It was like that too.
oh, geez, with the see-through shield.
Yes.
Oh, geez. 1990 was not a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ready to feel old. We've all known each other for a little over 30 years.
Yeah, that's insane. That's not acceptable to me.
I told my doctor, my neuro, I was like, I've been seeing you for over 20 years. And he's like, no, you haven't. Neither one of us are old enough for that to have happened. No.
You know what my signal was that I was old? When I was helping out with the Bible study youth group in Hooper. And then I started catching myself saying things like, I went to school with your parents. And then one day it happened where I'm like, hey, I went to school with your father, and he was a year under me. So
yeah.
You know when I knew you were old was when I saw you and you had a great big Santa Claus beard.
Well,
it looks good.
It's magnificent.
Mm-hmm. Looks good on you.
You maintain it well. Yes.
Which is odd, because all I do is just shampoo it in the shower. And that's it. And I comb it. I comb it in the morning.
We were talking the other day about the guy who runs a brewery, and he harvested yeast from his beard because there was a new colony growing based upon the yeasts. And I'm like, that is a health violation like mad, that you are not covering your beard and you are not cleaning it so frequently that it has its own ecology going on. And B, you're harvesting your beard to make beer that other people drink.
Wasn't that the story behind The Last of Us, though?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. Everybody's been going crazy about that and Mandalorian.
There's a good reason.
And all of these shows that I have not seen because I sleep 12 hours a day and I've only got so much time left over. Now I say I went to school.
I haven't that far yet.
I've come to peace with The Mandalorian. I really hated it when it first came on. It wasn't the show's fault. I just wanted something different from it. I thought it was going to be like Game of Thrones, only Star Wars. And it was more like Magnum PI, only Star Wars. And so I was kind of like, this is not what I wanted. I did not want like a week to week little wrapped up story. But now I've kind of come to peace with it. And the last season, I was just like, yeah, this is great. It's fun. I like it.
I haven't seen an episode of it, and I'm pardon me. Just gonna mute this for a second.
I look at it more as adventures in babysitting Star Wars.
Right.
Part of me is just because I am so lost with the new Star Wars universe. Being epileptic, I had when I was watching the prequels during the huge battle scene where Jango Fett gets his head cut off and it's the free for all in the middle. I had a seizure during that. And so I couldn't watch all of the. I worry about because the lightsabers apparently the newer tech with how fast they move them, and because I get Star Trek headaches too with the lighting that he uses. But so I'm always worried that I'm just gonna have seizures. I can't watch the Matrix movies. I couldn't even watch the animated ones. So I'm nervous about watching stuff. And then there's like 30 shows and it was like, okay, here are the prequels now. Here are, these as well as this supplement and this supplement. And you should probably watch this show and this show as well. And then you need to go out and do this. And so I have no idea what I have to watch to catch up to be like, okay, now I can watch The Mandalorian. So I need to have a super Star Wars geek set me down and be like, okay, this is the platform. Here's where we go.
No, you don't. I know plenty of them, and holy crap. Like the day that I told my friend Brian, one of the co-hosts of Movies and Beer podcast, you should listen to it. Anyway, basically, when we started hanging out, I told him that I had not watched any of the Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, and so the next day he sat me down and had me watch all 3 of those movies back to back.
Sounds like a good friend.
Sure. He did allow for bathroom breaks. I will give him that.
We did the same thing to my new son-in-law. Well, no, he's not really my new son-in-law. That's a lie. My new son-in-law, we did that with the Rocky films because he had never heard of Rocky. And so...
Really? How do you do that?
Right? But we made him watch all of the Rocky movies. But then my niece, her boyfriend, had never seen a Star Wars movie. So immediately we arranged to have him come over and spend the day watching Star Wars movies.
I love how you still do that.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Ever since, like, this was a high school thing with Paul. He gets something wrong and he's like, no, wait, I lied. Rather than just being like, I was wrong. No, I was lying to you intentionally.
You know what I found about Star Wars is for the longest time, I was just so, I mean, Star Wars was what it was to people who were born in 1974, right? I mean, it just was imprinted on me as a kid. And then I spent like 25 years being alternately frustrated and angry about Star Wars. And then I realized a few years ago, it's so much more fun if you just don't care. And if it's like, it meant something to me when I was a kid. Those first 3 movies still mean something to me, but everything now, it's just nonsense. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Enjoy some of it, ignore the rest of it, do whatever you want, but like, don't take it seriously. And
well,
I like it better.
When Brian was younger, of course, he's older and much more mature now, but he would go on and on and on explaining that not only the movies, were planned out long before that, but also the books and the extended universes have to go through Lucasfilm to make sure it's all correct and everything. So that's all canon, and all the comics and every yada, 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 and then bottom. And it's all fanfic now.
Yeah, they changed canon to fanfic, and
yeah.
So I don't know all about that, but I did know, yeah, those people want.
I kind of
here's Carrie's trick. She goes to show her tattoo, and I got it right this time. But usually I go, "Hey, check out my tattoo!" Oh shit! I'm so backwards with the camera. I
was going.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, though, that my childhood was kind of the opposite. I was born in 1973. However, I never saw any of the Star Wars movies because both of my parents were Star Trek fans. So I kind of grew up in a moderately Trekker household. Mm-hmm. If you want to say, I grew up mostly the movies, but also there were the reruns of the original series and everything. I didn't really... I knew about Star Wars. I had a couple of the toys, but I hadn't really understood the toys within the context of the movie. I just thought Yoda looked really, really cool, so I bought him. Well, I had my grandmother buy him for me. So, yeah. But it's a nice balance.
When I was a little kid, one of my neighbors who was a year below us in high school and was a football player and a wrestler, and his father happened to be the football coach. If you haven't figured out what I'm talking about yet, uh, he, he was my neighbor, and he had all of the Star Wars toys, like all the little troopers and the ships and everything. And whenever I would go over there, he would hand me Princess Leia, and he was like, "She's the only girl, so that's who you get to play. And you're stuck in the ship, locked up. So you just go sit over there and wait for me to rescue you if I decide that I'm going to."
Leah doesn't need rescuing. She kicks ass.
Not in his bed. She didn't. Your bedroom. Whoa. No.
Hey.
Yeah, no, didn't go there.
Slash
Did not
fix.
go there.
Great.
That just got weird.
You
Be
be
the only
slayed.
time in history Star Wars toys got someone laid. Is that what we're talking about?
Laid.
Laid.
Hi, Facebook user. If you would like to connect to StreamYard so we can get your name, that would be cool. Let me pull up the link. Carry on, guys. I'm just going to post something.
Oh, yeah. So what is going down the pipeline there, Paul?
Nothing. We're gearing up actually to shoot another film in May. And
Really?
yeah, it's sneaking up on me. It's sneaking up on me quickly. We've been the first part of this year was incredibly busy, and then we started talking to another filmmaker who we met. I don't even remember how we met, at a festival or just through the community here in Omaha. And he is getting ready to move and wanted to do a collaboration before he left. So we're kind of scrambling to get it together. But he wrote the script, and I'm going to direct it, and that is happening in May. So we're in kind of a rushed pre-production for that right now, but that'll be fun.
Nice.
I can't find it. Dang it. Let me know who you are, and we'll keep you as Facebook user for now. I think I made a banner for it at one point in time, but I have no idea where that is. It should be something you can click on. And I used to have a hotkey for it. I don't. That shouldn't happen. Anyway, sorry, I'm all rambling. So I want to go back to asking you. Okay, you said that you got the walls alike and matting came from just a quick prompt, and you had 72 hours to do so. And Rashness was from just a proof of concept. Where did you get your story from for the current show, Strange Constellation?
For Strange Constellation. So this isn't the most inspiring story in the world, but I keep a notepad of just sort of 1 to 2 sentence ideas that pop into my head, and I will jot them down, and I kind of use that as an inspiration pad when I'm looking to write something. And I had written down kind of just the basic concept, which was, there's a person alone in the country. I got the idea. Okay, rewind. I got the idea because I was doing I was interested in doing some night sky photography, and I didn't know much about that. So then I started learning about how people take those photos and whatever, and that you have to be far away from a city. You can't just point your camera at the sky. There's too much light pollution. You have to go somewhere really isolated and remote. And it turns out going to really isolated and remote places that you're unfamiliar with in the middle of the night can be scary. So I had just sort of this idea, what if somebody was out there doing something like that and found themselves in a situation with someone who may or may not mean them harm. And from there, that idea, the whole springboard for that story was, are you guys familiar with the film Inglourious Bastards? Quentin Tarantino.
Yep.
Okay.
Familiar, but didn't actually watch it.
Okay. Well, then, James, you will, I'm sure, know what I'm talking about. But Carrie, this is not a spoiler. It's the opening scene of the film. But in the opening scene of the film, this Nazi quote unquote Jew hunter comes to a farm that is harboring some Jewish refugees beneath the floorboards, and the entire conversation is very polite and very super like just so tense, because the Jewish people are hiding beneath the floorboard. He's right above. He knows that they're down there, and the person that he's talking to thinks that he probably knows that they're down there, but nobody's saying it out loud. And the whole conversation is just really, really intense. And I remembered that. And then there is a similar situation in a movie called No Country for Old Men, which is a Coen Brothers film. And there's a scene where a serial killer walks into a gas station and has a conversation with the gas station owner. And again, it's a conversation that becomes very intense. And both parties know on some level that they're discussing whether or not he's going to murder this guy, but nobody says it out loud. And the whole conversation is just incredibly intense and puts you on the edge of your seat. So the challenge for Strange Constellation was, I wonder if I could write something like that. And, obviously not on that level, but I wanted to do, see what I could do with a conversation between two people that is awkward and tense without anyone ever actually sort of blowing up or exploding or whatever. And so that was the challenge. And I just melded that with the little bit I had in my notepad about night sky photography and kind of put it all together from there.
Yes, I'm excited to see it.
Thanks. Oh, have you not?
No, I've seen the
I should
the
send a link
trailer.
to you. I should have sent one. I should have sent you a link before the show so you could have seen it.
I wasn't sure if it was something that because of the festival you couldn't do or not, so I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I can't put it out there publicly, but for situations like this, screeners for journalists or whatever podcast hosts, I can provide screeners for you. So I will. I'm sorry I didn't.
Oh, no problem. And I'm gonna go ahead and show the intro for that as well, the trailer.
Welcome back to Stargazer's Almanac, your guide to the night skies. I'm Tammy Nichols. In the second half of tonight's program, we continue our discussion with Dr. Richard Aguilar, Assistant Director at the McDonald Observatory and Resident Professor of Astronomy at the Texas Institute of Natural Sciences. He's also a good friend.
Hello?
Just got a chance to see the intro there to Strange Constellations. And
Wherever did you find corn in Nebraska?
It took a long time, let me tell you.
Especially children of the corn just wouldn't go away.
shoo, Outlander. But no, I'm interested. Your actress, who is that? She's been nominated for some awards, correct?
Yeah, she's incredibly talented. Maisha Essex is her name, and she's out of Lincoln. And we just found her through auditions, but she was an absolute delight to work with, and we were super excited that she was nominated for Best Actress at the First City Film Festival.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us, because I have no idea what it's like. What is it like going around and doing all the festivals? How much time do you have to set aside, and how do you get entered?
It looks exhausting.
Yeah.
It can be. When we first started going, I had never been to a film festival in my life, really, until Ends Rashness, and that one got accepted to a whole bunch of festivals, which apparently is, unusual. And so we didn't know how to festival. Like, people talk a lot about, like, here's how to festival when you go to the things. And really, it's fun to watch the movies. That's always a joy, especially if the presentation is good. And your best festivals are showing, in a theater with a full digital cinema package, so that the movies look beautiful and they sound amazing, and it's great. But really, the value of going to a festival is the networking, because you meet so many talented people. And James, you mentioned it looks exhausting. It really can, because there are, number one, there are a lot of people to just sort of talk to in general, because you have friends who come out to see your work and all that stuff. You don't want to ignore them. But then you also have people from the festival who are talking to you, and you also have other directors and producers that you want to chat with because you've seen their film and it was impressive or whatever. And then there's always sort of a line of people that want to talk to you about your film. And so the first year that we went to a whole bunch of festivals, I'm not an outgoing person. I'm shy in a crowd. I'm quiet. And that's a waste of a lot of money at a festival, to go sit in the director's lounge and not talk to anyone, for however long. So we had a blast, but also didn't really know what we were doing. And then the second film, we thought, well, if we're going to do this, because it's not cheap, to travel all over the place and go see, there are some festivals that will help you out a little bit, but most of them don't have money to pay for accommodations or travel or anything like that. So it's kind of all on your dime. And so we decided with the second one, we needed a more focused strategy on what are we going to do when we get to the festival. And then that was also illuminating. I got very brave about walking up to strangers and saying, hey, I really enjoyed your film. And lucky for me, turns out if you compliment people's work, they will talk to you, and you don't have to carry the conversation, because they'll talk about it all day long. So I feel like this year with Strange Constellation, we just kind of kicked off festival season with it, even though it was shot over a year ago, is the first time I really feel comfortable. The night of the showing is always hectic because there's a million people to talk to and all that stuff. But the rest of the time, we just came from doing 3 festivals in 2 weekends, and it was, or 3 festivals in 3 weekends, I think. And it was crazy. I mean, it's crazy exhausting to just be continually meeting people, exchanging cards, talking to someone. You have an awesome conversation for like 45 minutes while you're waiting for a movie to start, and then you don't see them again, for the rest of the time. So it gets a little crazy, but this is the first year I feel like I finally have sort of gotten into a rhythm with it. I feel comfortable talking to people and understanding that, like, hey, some of these relationships are going to spark something that lasts. And, we've had some creative collaborations now at this point. We've met some incredibly talented people and talked to some incredibly talented artists. And some of them you sort of maintain relationships with, and others it's like, camp buddies, or, you become friends for a week and then you go your separate ways or whatever. But it's fun. You just got to be prepared to either miss a lot of stuff or be really tired, which is just what we do, because I go usually all day, every day, because I want to see as much as I can.
Okay. And these folks obviously out on the East Coast. Where can you go to watch it, or when will it be released?
So the very soonest that we can make it available to watch will be the end of September. That is when the last of our festivals will notify us whether or not we've been accepted. So then at that point, we can't we can't put it out there for people to see until every festival that has accepted it has screened it, and we won't know that until the end of September. So the very soonest, if we don't go to any further festivals than the ones we've already been to, I would look for it at the beginning of September. And you can follow us on our Compendia Picks page at Facebook, or we don't really Twitter that much, but Instagram as well. And we'll keep everybody updated when you can see it.
And there should be some links down below for that. Are there any festivals that you can just buy a ticket and virtually watch it if we want to watch it then?
There are a number. All the ones that we've been in thus far this year are closed, so that's not available. But a lot of festivals since COVID, a lot of them are doing hybrid versions where you can either go see it in person or you can watch it online. I don't have any currently that I can point you at to say, here, go look at this one. But again, if and when those come up over the next few months, we will obviously put links up on our pages and all of our social medias so that people can get a chance to see it.
Okay. Awesome. And you said you're working on features right now.
Yeah, well,
how's the change on that?
It's a lot. It's really a lot. So, I mean, putting a short film together is difficult enough. If you're spending 3 weekends trying to get 15 people's schedules to coordinate, and often there's not a lot of money in this, so you can't be like, hey, we're paying you this much to do this thing or whatever. You're just kind of relying on people's good graces. And fortunately, we have picked up a pretty amazing group of people who just sort of are there for us whenever we want to make a new movie. We've got this little cadre of people around us who know what they're doing at this point, and jump in to help. So that's always amazing. But when you're talking about a feature, that's a much, much bigger commitment. And also there's a lot more money on the line. So things have to kind of have an order to them that we don't necessarily have to have when we're making our short films, right? So we want the feature film. We're looking to shoot it as a SAG production, which means union actors, and that brings a whole slew of additional rules that you have to abide by in terms of how pay works and accommodations and catering and all of that stuff. But we're really looking to level up for the next film, and we've got these shorts under our belt. I feel ready. It's just a question of getting the money together. So we've got 3 different scripts really in the hopper. One is a slasher film called Mount Moriah, which I'm really, really hoping to get made because I think it's got a great hook, and I think we can sell it. Yes, sir.
Can I be in it? Can I get killed?
Maybe. Do you act?
Oh, Carrie and I were in plays before in high school.
That's acting, from what I understand.
So
we should come out for auditions when we shoot it. We're looking for people our age.
Well,
the whole idea with this film is it's going to be a slasher movie, but our generation created the slasher movie. So we thought it'd be funny to make a slasher movie with a bunch of 45-year-olds and 50-year-olds running around like teenagers getting killed by someone.
Yeah, if you throw up in the PBDC, because we are the Psycho Bunny Death Cult, a huge amount of our audience base and our friends and everything are scare actors, haunt actors and stuff.
Oh,
so and we do have the Nebraska area and Iowa area haunt people have been on shows and stuff. So if you need some folks that know how to do some scares and know how to do makeup and
heck yeah,
all that,
reach out to us. We're on the socials. Carrie mentioned that the links are out there. If you are a creative and you're involved in that sort of thing, we would absolutely love to hear from you. Like I said, we're putting this together, hopefully to shoot this year. We'll see. But it's just a matter of getting the money together. And there's a few different ways to do that. The crowdfunding thing, private investors, raising money yourself, all of those things. So it's going to be a real commitment and a real level up from what we've done prior. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a great movie when we finish.
So much blood. I want to see so much blood.
I'd be fine with just being that weirdo in the wheelchair going, "You're all doomed, doomed,"
The obligatory,
and then wheel off.
yeah.
But I would have to join the guild to actually say anything, wouldn't I?
No, you don't have to join the guild in order to say anything, but saying something in a union movie is a good way to get your card. So
Yeah. Okay.
I think you have to have 3 or 5 lines in a union film, something like that.
Okay.
I shouldn't even be talking about it,
I know
those are.
because I know I read somewhere that the movie Being John Malkovich, that scene where he's walking in the road and like this drunk frat boy goes, hey Malkovich, and then throws the beer can at him. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I have. It's been a while.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But it was said that they were just townies, and then because he did that, they kept making take after take, and they were drinking real beer. So he kind of ad-libbed that part, but he had to actually get a SAG card because of that to be in the movie.
That's funny.
So
that's funny.
Right.
I think the reason, so again, take all this with a grain of salt, but my understanding is the reason why it's so hard to get a line in a SAG movie is because if you do have a speaking part, they have to pay you union wages. So I think the whole point is like, keep your mouth shut, don't say anything, because we don't want to have to pay you.
would you find with Craft Table?
Yeah.
No ad-libbing. You aren't the star.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to be our DJ. You just can't.
Yeah. That one will be a lot of fun. And then I also have a script for a drama that's very much more subdued. It's kind of a serious adult character study that I think we could shoot probably for a lot cheaper than the horror film, but I also think our chances of selling it are not nearly as good, because it's always easier to sell a horror story than it is to sell an adult drama, because horror fans will watch everything. That's what makes them great.
The horror community is outstanding. We were discussing this before too. Like I have a bunch of friends that are into comic book stuff, and I've been getting my geek back on hardcore the past couple of years. And you can go to all these different Comic Cons, and there's like over in the corner the little horror guy or a couple of horror people doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go to a horror con, there's everything everywhere. There's horror comics. We take everybody in.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Well, I never considered myself a horror creative person. Like I like horror movies, and I love scary things and all that stuff, but I never thought of myself as like, oh yeah, I want to make horror movies or anything. It just sort of worked out with Ends Rashness. I really didn't think of it as a horror film. It seemed to me more like kind of a Twilight Zone episode or something like that. But it got us into a lot of horror festivals, and I will tell you that is intoxicating to be in an environment where people are so excited. They're not just there because they like movies or because they want to see, network with people or whatever's going on. They were there because they freaking love horror movies. And we would just watch these crowds, it would sell out, and the screenings they can only get so many people in a room. So like one block would end and there would just be like a stampede across the theater to the next screening room because they wanted to get in and get their seats, and people, getting shut out at the doors. They'd come up and talk to you after it, and animated and emotional talking about your thing. And when we left, I was just like, I kind of want to make another horror movie just because I want to be around these people. This community is incredible. It was a very rewarding experience.
Well, we'll have to get the three of us together and put together a table at some horror con, and just like the combined, because I can't afford a table on my own. I don't know about you, but
how much do they usually run?
We're getting the band together, guys.
Yeah, horror people and metalheads, they're my people.
Yep. So there's probably a lot of crossover there, huh? I don't know much about the metal
Oh
world,
yeah.
but
Well,
the iconography of metal
I've
is.
been friends with you for how long? I mean,
She brought it up earlier. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. But no, yeah, there's horror and metal. They meld together. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. It's great. There's movies like Trick or Treat, which feed Skippy from what was it, Family Ties?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great movie, 1986 cheeseball, but holy cow.
That's funny. I can't believe I remember that, but I do. I watched it, I think, on Amazon Prime like 2 years ago.
With Sam, right? The little
Yeah.
boy.
No.
No,
That's also a
Trick or-
great movie. But
That's Trick or
also
Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Trick
though.
Treat.
Trick or Treat. Yeah.
With the R instead of and.
Yeah, that's the one with
Oh.
Brian Cox in it. Yeah.
And to make things even more confusing, there's a third movie that came out in like 1980 called Tricks or Treat. Completely different movie. So
Wonder what that one's about.
Dalmatians, I think. I don't know.
Oh.
I get a lot of guff for giving my films unpronounceable or unwieldy titles, but I do feel like whenever I search for one of my movies on Google, I don't have to weed through a bunch of other stuff trying to find it. So,
Yeah, I was calling it Enzrationis just to feel fancy, I think.
I think that's so here's a funny thing. I got plenty of mockery from my friends when we were doing the rounds with that film at the different festivals. I pronounced it differently every time I talked to someone because I think there's like 3 different ways you can pronounce it that are all sort of correct. So I think you're doing fine with Enzrationis. It sounds regal.
It does.
Well, I know that you didn't correct me when I tried to pronounce it. So.
Yeah, well, far be it from me. I think these days I just say Enzrationis because it's easy it just rolls off the tongue. But the I couldn't say with any confidence if you put a gun to my head which was the proper pronunciation.
What year is it? I don't know if the Greeks have taken over yet or not. How are we still pronouncing our Latin? What country are you from? So something I was thinking about this last night, and it's something that I've noticed in the first 2 and from what I've seen of this third one. Your movies really embrace like loneliness or solitude sort of feel in them, at least the first 2, where there's particularly the walls, but it's just the character just seems so alone and kind of separated from everything, even though they're talking to other people and interacting with stuff. You're really good at that. Is that intentional in what you were doing, or is it just kind of how things play out?
I wish it was intentional. It's funny when someone else points out a theme in your stuff. I'm sure this has happened for both of you, but someone will point something out that you weren't really thinking of. That's something I hadn't brought up. Someone else asked me recently why all of my protagonists have been women. And the answer is I hadn't even thought about that until you just mentioned it. So I don't know necessarily why they're written that way, but I will say that that's a pretty astute observation because the idea of solitude is prominent in all 3 of them. They are a loose trilogy, although by loose I mean really, really loose. The first 2 have supernatural horror aspects. This one is very much a grounded kind of thriller type situation. But theme-wise, the idea of isolation and solitude has been strong in all 3 of them. And what's funny is I guess I never thought about why, but I spend a lot of time on the sound mix. Just like I'm not a special effects person, I am not a sound engineer or a sound mixer. But I have spent literally hundreds of hours just adjusting wind noises and footsteps, and how much tree rustling is just enough to give the sense that maybe there's something out there, but there's not. Those things are hard to do. And in all three of the films, I will say the mood that I was going for was like, how do I make this person seem alone? And we did that with Strange Constellation. That opens up with kind of a subtle, or maybe not so subtle, nod to The Shining, whereas the opening shot is just the car driving down the road, and the camera just pans up and up and up and up, and we just kept going wider and higher and wider and higher to show these rolling fields. You know, you guys have been out there. It just can seem to go on forever, and she's in this bright red car in the middle of it to the point where she just looks like a little dot. And again, that was sort of opening, like the whole theme of this is, look how alone she is out here. So what's going to transpire is going to transpire in solitude. So that's interesting. I said a lot of words to say I don't know, but
Did you have to do a lot of takes on that, or was Nebraska just naturally nice Nebraska for you and let you just have the open, there's nobody here thing going on?
yeah, we had the road was closed down. My wife had gone out and talked to the county board, and so we were able to get a section of like a mile of county road blocked off for a couple of weekends so that we could shoot out there. So we did fine with that. I think we did 3 or 4 takes just trying. Shooting with the drone is difficult because it wants to, when it's windy, you know, it wants to sway and whatever. But I will say, if you think that blocking off a country road with big roadblocks that say road closed would stop farmers from driving down that road, you would be wrong.
No. I was going to ask, though, you mentioned about sound engineering, doing the sound. Do you do your own Foley work, or do you have, like, I don't know, like a library of sound effects that you actually use? What?
Yeah, it's a blend. So we have subscriptions to like I think 3 different library services that have a pretty good variety of stuff. But on, you know, there's always stuff that you just can't find quite the right thing, and so we have done quite a lot of Foley recording. I'll tell you, as much as I'm not good at it or adept at it, I do love sound mixing because I think it really makes things sort of magical. You know, when this is going to be really geeky, so just give me a minute. But like when you're cutting things, I don't know how much editing you guys have done, presumably some, because you're both involved in media, of different types. There's something sort of magic when you're cutting back and forth. You're like, why isn't this working? This isn't working. And then you just adjust it just a little bit so that the person looks up sooner, or they come in a little faster, on the audio or whatever, and something clicks, and it just becomes sort of like that magic moment where you're like, now it looks real. Like that was the adjustment that made it sound natural or look real. You get to do that a ton with Foley work. It's just like every little thing, like, yeah, that footstep was perfect.
See, what's fun is if you have the DVD set of, the Star Wars special editions, there is a documentary on that features how they got the sound effects, which is fascinating. Like,
really,
they would mic up, they would mic up and pound like tink tink on tension wires to get the blaster sounds.
Oh,
so,
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And to get that Darth Vader thing, they just stuck a mic, like a tie mic, into a scuba gear.
No.
So
nice. I know that. And of course, Alfred Hitchcock, because those two go together in my head for some reason. In Psycho, they had to figure out the chocolate syrup thing for the blood. But the best was, it wasn't the best because, yes, he was terrorizing his actresses, and the man was a horrible person, but he was an incredible filmmaker. And Do you know what they used for the stabbing sounds? Because he made her listen to this, and they go. It was a cassava melon.
Really?
Like yeah, they went out and bought a whole bunch of different kinds of fruits and gourds and melons, and they decided what sounded most like what they hoped sounded like human flesh being penetrated was stabbing a cassava melon.
That's wild.
And comparing it to stabbing an actual person. So,
we don't want to know how Hitchcock knew that, because
it appears to me.
Hitchcock, so.
Well, I'm guessing that he was the Joss Whedon of his day.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So he would definitely be canceled like that.
Yeah, it's so weird that this came up, because I was literally having this exact same conversation with someone about, I don't know, 3 hours ago.
Really?
Yeah, because my wife just watched The Birds, and so we were talking about like what
throwing live birds at the actress.
They were tied to her.
Yeah. It's
I've never seen it.
Take that, and the fact that in The Shining, Kubrick was just terrorizing Duvall, like left and right.
Yeah.
Everybody else was fine, but she was in
spent
hell.
the rest of her life just being insane.
Yeah.
But his storyboarding. See, I heard they're getting ready to try to release Vertigo again.
I heard that too.
And it's like, okay, anybody who sat through Humanities with Bruce Allen Bartels knows you cannot remake Alfred Hitchcock. They've tried it, they didn't do it. It's not just because he terrorized his actors and actresses, but it was part of the process. But he didn't believe that he needed anybody who could act decently. What he did was storyboard to the point where it was like every single clip was done. And it was like, okay, you will walk in here, you will stand on this line of tape, you will tilt your head at a 45-degree angle, look this way, pause for 0.35 seconds, and deliver this line. And then just keep doing it until they hit exactly the right thing. Because he went for actresses that looked what he wanted, whether they could act or not. And then he just destroyed them until they were behaving hysterically. And
I heard that George Miller was similar, not in terrorizing his actors, but that his style for those, particularly the latest Mad Max movie, was shot very much like we're setting up the camera, and now I need you to like look over your left shoulder, and like that's the whole shot. That's it. And then we're going to move the camera over here, and I need you to lean forward and grab this wrench, or whatever it is. So he was almost like editing in camera while he was shooting. But for the actors, apparently that was a super frustrating process, because they never had an opportunity to really live in the moment, and inhabit the role within that moment, because it was just constantly chopped up and broken up. That's all hearsay. I wasn't on set, but this is what I have read.
And Edith Connor says, that's what we do in our haunts, props to bring them to life.
Heroism? Throw life.
Well, I don't think these guys go that far. There are some that cross the lines, but these are some of the good guys. What? I can't point over there. You guys can't see what I'm looking at. So.
Well, I have participated in some haunts during Halloween. The Fontenelle Corn Maze. I find it's very, very simple. You don't have to do the jump out boo scares. What I did was I found a place that was down the row where when they entered, I was far off, and I had essentially wore this and a pig's mask, his skin pin, and just still so some of the mannequins. And then when they came up to see, is this thing for real or not? All I did was directly at them, and now freaked out. I scared an entire Girl Scout troop. They all ran away. It was great. They dropped their little cookies.
Did you get cookies?
No,
I
just
want to scare Girl Scouts. I never get to go. They all have
oh,
strobe lights, so I don't get to see anything.
mhm.
That's what.
Yeah,
Please,
there is
please don't
that.
include a lot of strobing in your pictures, Paul, because I want to see them. I don't want to fall on the ground and give you my interpretive dance review.
Yeah,
I
that's the
So,
problem. Every time I see a movie, I'm thinking Carrie should see this. We should talk about it. But then, like a strobe sequence would come on, and I'm like, I can't subject her to that. No,
That's got to be
crap.
particularly difficult with horror, right? I feel like there's a
Yeah,
lot of flashy, stroby stuff in horror and sci-fi.
yeah, like I said, all the new Star Trek stuff with the lens flaring
Mm.
gives me a migraine.
okay. So
And then we went to Guar together. Like
yes,
a year and a month or so ago, I think it was.
yeah, it was in December of last year, a couple of years ago.
Year
Yeah,
5 months ago, something like that.
2021.
Oh wow, it's been that long.
Yeah,
I don't leave my apartment, so time never happens for me.
yeah.
But it was like most of the show. Here's me, and then like, okay, they're doing some stage stuff. Okay, they're playing again.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and so I had to get some nice people to.
Well, it came to the point where I gave her one of the T-shirts that I bought from the merch table to tie around her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It was
and I'd gone out and bought this like white peasant blouse to wear so I could get the blood, And there is no way I was going to get up front with like 200 people, and it was you would not believe how many kids were there. Like,
oh really?
War is bizarre because it's one of the only death metal bands. You're beyond that. It's one of the only bands like that you're going to see where everybody's wearing white because they want to be covered in fake blood and take it home as a souvenir.
Mm.
And B, they've been around for so long that you have an age range from as young as can possibly be allowed into the venue. Like people bring their kids if they can to see the giant, phallus and stuff. To people in like their 60s
hosing down the front rows.
Yeah, just pulling their kids up. Can you just squirt some on my kid, please?
You're never taking a bath again, kid.
But we were sitting back there was one little area that we could rest in, and some guys were coming out from the bathroom, and there was one guy with super long hair who came out, and I was like, I can't go up front because I have seizures and it's gonna kill me, and I want to get some blood, and you're covered. Can I have a hug to get some blood? He's like, oh yes, come here. And he got blood all over me. Then he brought his friends back, and they were like, we hear you need some more blood. Come here. So
Metalheads are the greatest people,
blood.
I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
They
love this.
Okay, so there's a movie by Adam Wingard. I don't know if you've heard of the director, but it's one of his earlier movies. It's called Pop Skull. It was on Netflix for a while. But okay, so this movie starts off with a warning saying there's some strobing effects here. Viewer, be warned if you're epileptic. Beware of that. And then immediately starts off with just
nice.
A solid 3 minutes of just that. I'm like, okay, thanks for the warning. And all of us, I was had to close my eyes going, my God, stop.
Yeah.
And that was a black and white film. So.
Yeah. And it's weird things too. I think we've mentioned this before, but like I can't look at cottonwood trees in the summer because their leaves are so glossy. When the wind blows and the leaves reflect the light back and forth, it's like this giant twinkling, shining thing going on. So it's weird things in movies, but yeah, and like when they go quantum in Ant-Man and the Wasp, that bugged me, as did Ghost's movement, the way that they filmed her, because she kind of tracks across the screen. Yeah, that really messed me up too.
Have you seen the new Ant-Man?
I haven't. I've been I don't know. I'm struggling with Marvel lately. I've been a big fan, but the last batch of movies have just not really excited me much. And I love the Ant-Man movies. I will see it. I just haven't
don't, because what was bad in the last Ant-Man and Wasp is even more intense.
Okay.
So just be warned. However, when I went to see it with the Exalted Geeks when making the podcast about that, I was on pain meds. So like I started off things with, okay, so I'd like to know what kind of movie you guys saw, because I guarantee you the movie I saw was probably not even close. So
That's funny. I don't have any visual issues like that, but I do have misophonia, and it's selective, and there are certain things that will cause me to literally just turn a movie off. And it's very strange. I can't point to any logic, but there are there are three things that just will really get my goat. One is the sound of footsteps for too long or too loud. If I hear like shuffling feet on a sidewalk for more than a couple of seconds, um, it my skin starts to crawl. This is a huge problem if you're trying to watch like any movie made before 1980, where half the soundtrack consists of as people, take a 30-second shot to walk down a sidewalk or whatever. The other one is the sounds of people eating, and not just mouth noises, but like any kind of dinnerware, like tinkling forks and cups on saucers, the sound of like liquids being poured into a glass, all of that stuff doesn't bother me in real life. But in a movie, if I can hear that stuff, it drives me right up the wall. And my wife recently was watching Grey's Anatomy, which is a show I don't know anything about other than it's a hospital show, but there's like 100 seasons of it. And this became a running joke for us because I was like, whoever is in charge of Foley over at Grey's Anatomy needs to be fired, because they are obsessed with the sound of dinnerware. Like, it's all I can hear from the other room is just the sound of like tinkling, clicking, liquids pouring, people chewing. And I'm just like, stop it. I can't take it.
Yet another reason for me to not have to watch Grey's Anatomy.
well, see what bugs me, as far as long as we're on the topic of the badly used Foley, what really gets me is when you're watching a movie and there's a car chase and they're on a dirt road, and for some reason when they turn, you hear the squeal of the tires.
Yeah.
Like I brought that up when we watched Logan. They did that a bunch of times. I'm like, okay, we're on a dirt road. How are they squealing?
I got a James pause.
Yeah, I did too. To follow on that, until you come back, if you can still hear us, as someone who's obsessed with the sound of footsteps, I get that. I see that a lot with sneakers. People are wearing tennis shoes, and yet the Foley people make it sound like they're wearing tap shoes as they walk across a marble floor or whatever.
Oh yeah, we're very nitpicky people, I think, because I also, things have to be absolutely perfect, or else it just drives me bonkers. Like you can't. He was out in the rain. He would be wet now, or that's kind of a big one. But noticing just little things that, like, all the little goofs in movies and stuff, but either with sound or visuals or anything, is being an editor too. That's part of my job.
Sure.
So I notice, like, I'll be reading somebody's book and be like, I'm sorry, you can't have him kill him with his sword because 3 pages ago he lost his sword. So unless you want me to go somewhere and by the way, this lady's been pregnant for 3 years, for fuck's sake. It doesn't work like that.
Patience is like that with movies. Like, she has got eagle eye. We will be watching, and all of a sudden she'll just be like, different day. Her bangs are different. They're not the same as it. Or somebody will walk in and she'll be like, that glass was half full when she walked in. Now it's 3/4 full when she set it down on the thing. She catches that stuff all the time. those things, I will say, those kinds of things blow right past me in a movie. If the movie's working for me, like if the movie is working for me, then I forgive a lot. Like I phase all of that stuff out and just am living in the world. But if it's not working for me, that's when it gets dangerous.
So I'm going to pick everything apart and then I'm going to write about it.
Yeah.
And let everybody know every single thing that was wrong.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead, James.
I'm sorry. I was going to point out one of my favorite movies to come out few years back was Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great movie, I thought. However, okay, so because of my medical issues in the past 5 years, I've had more than my shares of PICC lines being put into my arm for injections and such. And in that movie, she, spoilers, people, she, the way the author dies is his nurse accidentally gives him a shot of an overdose of morphine, which he takes on a nightly basis. Because I'm not going to say why, how that happened. However, there was a stretch where he's like, oh no, I've given you morphine by mistake. What am I going to do? Oh, it's going to be fine. And yada, yada, yada. The PICC lines are just to be pedantic on you. The PICC lines are put in and it's threaded to stop right over the heart so that what's injected into you will be distributed throughout your body within seconds. Had that been an overdose of morphine being put in the PICC line, he would have been dead before she went, oops.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then everybody told me to shut up. So
I pick up things like that a lot, weird medical shit, because my mother was a nurse. Well, she's still a nurse, but she does other things, but she's always maintained her RN. But that and watching enough horror movies, you know, like, okay, actually, the way that the body breaks down is like this. All right. the group chats that we have in some of the writers' discords and stuff, like, now where do you want to dispose of? Oh, no, honey. First of all, you go out and you buy these. No, don't do the lime. That just preserves them. That's a lie. Lie, get it? Oh my God, kill me. Not really. But sorry, having my little moment here. Anyway, okay. I've been having problems with this new giveaway tool thing we have, but I do have the names of everybody who has been on tonight. And we're going to go ahead and just give everybody I have that was on here. I will contact you after we're done with the show and get you out a code so that you get your copy of Ensoraciones, Ensoraciones, No, that one's wrong.
Ravioli.
Thank you for doing that. I hope people enjoy them.
I think so.
Oh, they
I think
will.
they will. Because it's really enjoyable. And
because the people I've tied up and forced to watch them, they seem to enjoy it. The movie, I mean.
Right. I thought that was just how you have people watch movies.
Yeah, the person I have down in the basement right now.
Yeah. I'm really excited because tonight, if I can stay awake, I'm so tired. But I just got in the mail twice a year, Criterion Collection has a flash sale, 50% off for like 24 hours or whatever. So I like to try to grab something, but I have been wanting David Lynch's Inland Empire to come out on Blu-ray for years, and it just came out and I nabbed it on sale. So I have a shiny new Blu-ray sitting for me upstairs, and I am excited to watch it. But it's like 3 hours long, and it's a David Lynch movie, so I don't know. We'll see. I am tired.
I love you guys too. Yeah, I don't understand the Blu-ray thing because I don't have a Blu-ray player, and I tried to. I mentioned that Exorcist 3 was my favorite movie ever, and they have on Prime Video, you can buy it, but you can buy the, like, watch it on, by the streaming, and that has all of the shit that they cut out put back in for the director's cut. It's a Blu-ray only. And so I rented that version, and when you rent it, you get the original version still. So I watched it twice on my birthday, because my birthday's on Halloween. And so I'm like, it's my favorite movie, I'm going to watch it. Okay, now I'm going to watch the Blu-ray version. No, I'm not. I'm going to watch the exact same version, but I sat all the way through it again because I love the movie. And then I wrote up, hey, don't buy this for the streaming quantity because it's the same as the free one.
Her boyfriend is in that movie. So
yes, Brad Dourif doesn't know it yet, but he, for the past decade, has been in an exclusive relationship with me. And someday he will find out. And
guys, I've seen the shrine in her apartment. It's disturbing. I don't know where she got that piece of hair from, but
I know a guy, you know.
You want a toe? I'll get you a toe.
With polish?
Yes.
All right, well,
go ahead.
Yeah. You go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say.
No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first.
I continue buying Blu-rays, and I probably will until they close up the factory. But I'm just such an evangelist for physical media. It's my wife, who will proudly tell you that she couldn't tell the difference between a VHS tape and a DVD for whatever reason. Or maybe it was DVD and Blu-ray. I can't recall. But anyway, she's not like a picture quality sort of person, or hasn't been. And a few months back, there was an Indiana Jones movie on television, and it was just on, we're doing stuff, watching it. She's looking at it, and she's like, why does it look like garbage? And I said, because it's streaming. Hold on. I ran down and I grabbed a Blu-ray, stuck it in. I was like, and she was like, all right, I got to admit, it looks better. It just looks better. It looks so much better. The picture quality is so much better, and you get to own it. They can't just delete it off the service or decide that there's a new version that they want you to have and update their file. It's a thing you can own in that format. So, like another example. I know no one cares about this but me, but you're here, so I'm talking at you. Another example is. With music, with CDs, Morrissey re-released all of his. I'm a big Morrissey fan, and he re-released all of his early albums, and they changed the tracks. They changed not only the track order, but they added songs that weren't there. They took certain songs off, and now that's the only version you can get. So when you try to buy it on streaming services, that's the only version you can get. I have my CD, so I can pull it out and listen to the actual Bona Drag or whatever album that I want to listen to. And anytime the concept of physical media comes up, I just have to plug it. I just have to plug it for everyone. Don't let it die.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about how books. They brought up. God, now I'm not going to remember. I think it was Ursula K. Le Guin. There's somebody in that nature. Their child went forth and allowed a bunch of language that could be considered not PC now to be erased and replaced in her children's books. And that's something that's happening on a lot of ebooks. You only own what they'll send to you, and they can change that whenever they want. So I give out Kindles. People get interested in them. I also send out signed copies when I can for people, but that's where I've started slowing up because I don't have any more physical room. James can attest to this. I have the bookcases the books are in. Then there's another row of books. Then there's books stacked on books. Then there's books kind of jammed in there.
Yeah,
then there's
it's kind of my problem too.
So I've gotten to where I do more Kindle buying, and then I save up and buy the special release autographed numbered copy of something, so that it's like, okay, yeah, now I can own the really awesome one.
Yeah.
and never lose it, but I can at least read it when I don't want to damage it. I sniff it, I hug it,
Yeah.
I give it love, then I rebubble wrap it and put it up in the closet for a while.
I do.
I
I
make
don't
sweet,
have.
sweet love to it.
That
I
would
don't,
damage it.
I don't have any. Wow, that was a visual. I don't have any um problem with digital media as a secondary, like a backup. Like I love it when I can buy a Blu-ray and it comes with a streaming version, so that if I want the convenience and I can just pop it on my phone or whatever it is, if I'm sitting at the dentist's office and I need to kill some time or something. But and same with Kindle. Like I mean, I love my Kindle, and I've got a lot of books on there, but the books that I really really love I have also sitting on my shelf. So it's just a weird thing. I'm sure people like me won't exist, 15 years from now or whenever we die off. But there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like having a book in your hands, or a beautiful Blu-ray
Oh,
set
yeah.
that artwork and all of the stuff. It's the best.
Okay, here's my one problem with Blu-ray still. I get where you're coming from, and I wish I owned a Blu-ray player. But it's that they
Huge help.
release things directly to Blu-ray and they don't put it on a regular DVD as well. So I can't buy it because I don't have any way to play it.
Right.
So I'm kind of like,
Right.
I don't know
Well,
if I can get a Blu-ray adapter or something.
As far as for me, I had to switch to just ripping all of the CDs that I had into MP files directly from my own owned stuff. And Paul, you've seen my collection before in the past, and even now, I'm fine with streaming, listening to it like that, especially with the reviews that I write. And if I find something that I know I'm going to want to listen to a lot in the future, I try to find, believe it or not, I've hopped onto the vinyl bandwagon again. And I don't think I don't take myself as a hipster in this, because that was the dominant form to listen to music when I was a kid, when I was starting to get into music. Vinyl, I understand why that is getting a revival. However, I'm trying to figure out, why are cassettes making a comeback? Because
I didn't know they were.
No, they were.
Oh, they were. That, like, indie bands would, like, this is our cassette version. And since all the manufacturing plants are gone, they don't have like the bias noise reduction, all the special stuff that we had in the 80s and the 90s to play on. They're just like the stuff you get at the dollar store.
Right.
That pack, pack you
Yeah.
get in the cellophane and everything. It's just, I don't understand that. But when it comes to the books, it took me a long time. Wow.
Sorry, I was trying to. You've seen that yellow? Somebody left it. They're the dresser people, which Paul, you don't know about. The dresser people are these cryptids that happen to live in my house, in my apartment, and they steal my shit, and then they bring me new shit, and I'm always like, wow, like, okay, you took 3 lighters, but this was something that I never purchased that just showed up on my coffee table one day.
Nice.
Well, that,
right?
Carrie, that was the birthday gift I gave you a couple of years ago.
It's part of the dresser people mythos.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Anyway,
no, but they do. I get weird shit like brought up and moving around and stuff. And one of the things James has seen is this like old time yellow cassette player Walkman.
Oh yeah.
That had a Tupac single in it.
Nice.
And so I'm just like, okay, but I saw it the other day and I was like going to be like, this thing. And like, apparently they took it back. They keep giving me Jell-O. Like, there's this there's this pack of Jell-O that expired in like the 90s, and I like get rid of it and then it shows back up again. It's like some weird berry thing.
I was going to say, though, as far as the Kindle goes, it took me a long time to actually get into that because I was a hardline, I like actual books. I like the fact that I can never say things like, my book just ran out of the batteries. And if I drop the paperback, I just pick it up and start reading. I don't have to shell out $100 just to read again or download an app.
Yeah.
But it's I once I got it, it's fantastic. I admit, comes in handy.
I initially just wanted, like, I swore if anybody ever bought me a Kindle that I was, or anything like it, that I was just going to load up reaction gifs on it and just have them all like ready to go. And so when I'd be sitting out in public, if somebody would approach me and try speaking to me, I could have like long llama stare. Just saying it, then go back to whatever I was doing.
That's funny.
It's harder to get it to do it than you think. You have to like kind of push up. You have to be ready for it when people are coming. Like, oh, that guy looks like he's going to get a slow clap. Yeah, let's get that one ready.
That is definitely going to happen, isn't it? Where we're going to be able to just like wear a collar or something that will just project reaction gifs. We'll just think about which one we want, and people will just see it.
I hope so. I also want to get like speaker. I have to get some Bluetooth speakers and some clothes so I can walk around with my own theme track playing, and just like, oh, she's in a bad mood now, and
I used to work with some kid at Raising Cane's who did that. He had a small little Bluetooth speakers cylinder, and he would just play. He was really big into the 8-bit core, where basically game music, and he would just play that loudly while he was doing the prep before we opened. It was just, he had his own soundtrack going. I'm old fashioned. I got to have my headphones and not bother people.
Yeah, same. I like feel bad. I realize after I get up from my bed, like if I have to go to the bathroom, that nobody can hear my Kindle except for me. But I put it like right on the side of the wall so I can listen to it when I go to sleep. So it's projecting right in my ear. And I'm always like, oh, my neighbors are going to hate me because they're going to have to listen to Jeremy Irons reading this again. And then I realize, unless you're like 2 inches from it, you can't hear anything that's being played on this thing. But otherwise, I wear headphones where I just can't squish my head. But we're hitting in right at the 2-hour mark right now. So I think if you want to stick around, I'm going to let all y'all go. And I am so glad that we had you here. Paul, would you like to give everybody a shout out as to what to look for and where to find you and what all you have going on?
Sure, thanks. So as mentioned earlier in the show, our second short film, The Walls Alike and Matting, is going to be available to watch this upcoming week. We will post it probably on our Vimeo page, and links will go out on all of our socials. So we are compendiapictures.com at the website, or on all of the socials, it's just Compendia Pics, Pics. So that's Compendia Pics on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever else is out there. I'm really bad at social media, so Patience handles all of that, and I'm sure she's on top of it.
And James?
I'm here, but okay. So the Movies and Beer podcast you can access by way of movies-and-beer.blogspot.com.
All right. And you guys know how to find me. Thanks for coming, everybody. And I will be getting in touch with everybody and send you out a code probably about half an hour or so. Love y'all. See you later. Steve Van Samson.
Curtis M. Lawson.
Paul Christian Glenn, Joshua Rex, Raz, Rob Smale,